So what if being exceptionally smart isn't quite the superpower we all think it is? Today we're going to dive into something that's rarely talked about, the hidden cost of high intelligence.
We're all taught that a higher IQ is this golden ticket, right? The ultimate advantage in school, at work, in life. But is that really the whole story? Well, it turns out that for a lot of highly intelligent people, there's a flip side, a pretty significant one, actually. And if you've ever felt just mentally wiped out for no apparent reason, this might be the aha moment you've been looking for.
Okay, so this brings us to what we can call the smart person's paradox. And it's this fascinating idea that the very thing that makes you so smart, well, it can also be the source of some pretty unique struggles.
Look, having a powerful brain is, of course, an incredible advantage, but it can also create its own set of challenges. It's not a bug, it's more like a high-performance feature that comes with some really interesting side effects.
So, where does all this come from? Well, it all starts inside the mind, in what you could call an overactive inner world. And the key difference, the real heart of the matter, is what the brain does in the moments between focused tasks. We're not talking about how your brain works on a test. We're talking about what it's up to when you're just trying to, chill out.
Okay, so for most brains, at rest means, dialing things down. But for a highly intelligent brain, rest can feel like a total myth. That engine is always running. It's involuntarily connecting dots, running what-if scenarios, even when you're practically begging it to just stop for a minute. And all this constant mental activity, it isn't free, not by a long shot. It has a direct impact on a really critical and, importantly, finite resource, your brain's limited budget.
And that budget has a name: cognitive bandwidth. Think of it as the total amount of mental energy you have for any given day to think, decide, and focus. And here's the most important part to remember. It's finite. You only get so much each day.
Yeah, this analogy is just perfect. If you think of your mind having a daily spending limit, then every little thought, every decision, every single pattern your brain just decides to analyze on its own, that's a withdrawal. And trust me, those little withdrawals add up fast.
So what's really wild is how much of that budget gets spent without you even realizing it. For a highly intelligent brain, a huge chunk, we're talking like 40% here, is just consumed by involuntary analysis. This is mental work you didn't even ask to do, but it's draining your battery all the same.
Okay, so what happens when your mental bank account is constantly being overdrawn by all these background processes? Well, that leads us straight to the real-world cost of constant thought.
It's a really simple but incredibly powerful two-step process. First, that involuntary background thinking is constantly draining your cognitive bandwidth. And second, that low battery doesn't just stay in your head. Oh no, it spills out into your daily life in some very real, very tangible ways. And this usually shows up in two main ways. First, there's emotional fatigue. You ever have one of those days where nothing particularly stressful happened, but by the end of it you feel completely and utterly drained? Yeah, that's the exhaustion from the mental marathon your brain was running in the background. And the second one, sleep problems. I mean, how are you supposed to switch off an engine that's literally designed to never stop? It makes falling asleep or even just staying asleep a real struggle for a lot of people. So, how should we be thinking about all this? Look, this isn't about seeing high intelligence as some kind of curse. Not at all. It's about reframing the whole thing as a cognitive trade-off.
And this is probably the most important thing to take away from our chat today. If any of this is sounding familiar to you, it is not a flaw. It's not a personal failing. It is simply the built-in trade-off for having a brain that is exceptionally good at analyzing the world around you.
This quote just sums it all up perfectly, doesn't it? The amazing ability to analyze comes with a price tag, and that price is your mental energy. Just understanding that this is a cost and not a flaw is the absolute first step toward managing it. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. If you see this pattern in yourself, how does reframing it as a cognitive cost instead of some kind of weakness, how does that change your perspective on your own mind? It's a really powerful shift in thinking. Thanks for tuning in.